Survivor's Log. Monday, October 16th. This is Rodney Smith, the only member of the Watch It Play team remaining in studio. Paula, Matthew, Monique, Naveen, and Chaz have all gone missing, and now I find myself caught alone between light and shadow. Ironically, similar to one of the board games that was on my radar this month, Between Light and Shadow. A complex solo game full of adventures in which the player must skillfully manipulate dice, just like we here at Watch It Play have been manipulated. You'll combine and place dice skillfully using equipment and resources during the encounters you'll have throughout each of the game's chapters. Now, during my solitude, I've kept my perspective with thoughts of this meaty solo game, which is all about perspective. The game can be played through the eyes of different characters, each chapter of its campaign lending their perspective to you as you make decisions along the journey. And that will change the world for your next game session, which provides me with some comfort, seeing as my own world has changed as well. It's dark, cold, I'm missing oboe practice, but I keep my spirits up by remembering the last words that Chaz shared with me before he disappeared. I can still hear his voice echoing in my head when he told me,
Rodney, never forget that this episode was made possible in part by extraordinary engines and remarkable railcars by the Little Plastic Train Company, running now on Kickstarter. Yeah, after the success of their deluxe board game train sets campaign, the Little Plastic Train Company is back with a new Kickstarter featuring sets of 3 new engines in orange, purple, and white. That's 144 beautiful, highly detailed plastic trains, plus 3 stackable score markers and 3 metal storage tins featuring original artwork. Oh, but Rodney, they refused to stop there, adding 5 new sets of remarkable rail cars into the mix as well, which includes 240 cars in 5 different designs, 5 score markers, metal tins of their own, and can be used separately or paired with the engines from either deluxe train set. Yeah, whether you backed their original Kickstarter or this is your first time, follow the link in this video's description to find the Extraordinary Engines and Remarkable Railcars campaign, and then, Rodney, get your train games off on the right track.
and now I fear I will never hear from Chaz or my other comrades ever again.
This is DJ Chazzy Chaz calling Fresh Prince Edward Island. Do you copy? Over.
An incoming message on an encoded frequency. Chaz! Chaz, is that you? Can you hear me?
Rodney! Oh, I just wanted to let you know that I made it into hiding just like the others.
Oh, thank goodness. You left so abruptly, I didn't know what was going on.
Yes, sorry about that. But once Paula and I realized what the company that bought Watch It Played, Party Lemmings, was really up to, I had to get everyone to someplace safe.
I am so relieved to hear from you. I'll admit, since everyone disappeared, I haven't been able to rest.
My days have been restless as well, referring, of course, to one of the games on my radar this month, the 2-player card game Unrest, which pits a grassroots resistance against an empire's ruthless regime.
Unrest is a head-to-head struggle over control of 5 city districts between 2 sides, each of which have different options and asymmetric abilities. The resistance has a selection of cards to deploy at different locations, which will add to their power there in several different categories. Meanwhile, the Empire deploys actions using several different chips they have at their disposal. But actions require a full round to reset, so they have to be enacted carefully.
I've been playing this recently, and I still haven't completely gotten my head around the best strategy for either side. It's one of those games that seems to be simple at first, but each game I realize that there's a few more tricks to it than I thought before. Especially since the 2 factions play completely differently, with the Resistance using a deck of cards to bolster their control of the various locations and achieve several objectives, while the Empire plays its chips to eliminate cards, hinders the Resistance's options, and closes locations.
Ah, is that what gave you the idea to regroup by closing the Watch It Played studio?
Evacuating everyone into hiding did seem like the wisest course of action, because Paul was right. My faulty studio equipment was no coincidence. It was an assassination attempt. And now, I know who's behind it.
I can hardly believe it.
At first, I didn't believe it either. But then the final clue fell into place and a light bulb went off, like a light in the dark.
I know that feeling.
A light in the dark?
Yeah, because recently I've been doing a lot more solo gaming, so the latest title from publisher Arcona, called Light in the Dark, has been on my radar.
In Light in the Dark, a plague doctor is on a mission to heal a region from the plague while also fighting bandits and monsters. Mondays. This is presented as a single-player dungeon crawler that aims to put the player's skills, resources, and strategic thinking to the test as they complete quests and level up skills, which is good because as the stakes get higher, so do the risks.
Due to recent calamities, I don't have as many people to game with anymore, so I've been doing a lot more solo gaming, and this one jumped out at me because you're trying to heal people from a plague. Not that we haven't had our share of plague-fighting games before, but it's just not usually something you find in a dungeon crawl. So the idea that you're bashing monsters and trying to cure people intrigued me. Also, I've played a couple of other titles from this publisher, both of which I liked. So I'm hoping that Light in the Dark will make that a perfect 3 for 3 in terms of my opinions about this publisher's games. I'm keen to find out.
My Light in the Dark happened when Paula dropped the box of letters for the Party Lemming sign. The letters sailed across the room like a swarm of angry hornets.
Like bugs in a breeze.
Like drones in the wind.
Like bees in space.
And Bees in Space reminds me of Apiary, which is one of Monique and Naveen's game picks this month.
In a far distant future, the Earth is no longer inhabited by humans, but instead, sentient honeybees.
Of course.
It's inevitable.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened already.
They call themselves Mellifera, and they have made substantial technological advances up to and including space travel.
Of course.
It's inevitable.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened already.
In Apiary, a worker placement hive building challenge awaits you. Explore planets, gather resources, develop technologies, and create carvings to demonstrate your faction's strengths, measured in victory points. However, the dangerous dearth quickly approaches, and your workers can only take a few actions before they must hibernate. Will your hive thrive or merely survive?
As she was boarding the bus for the Witness Relocation Program, Monique mentioned to me that she and Naveen love asymmetry in board games and are quite intrigued by this bee-themed strategy game about having to manage your bee workers and build your hive.
Witness Relocation? Is that where everyone's gone?
That's right. I had to get everyone to safety because what I discovered when those sign letters hit the floor made it clear that the acts of sabotage were just the beginning. Each of us was in grave danger.
And that's why you had to shuffle the team around.
Yes. So taking a cue from one of Paula's recent game picks, for Shuffle, I enacted a strategic reallocation of team resources.
By comparison, in Forest Shuffle, players compete to gather the most valuable trees, attracting species to those trees in order to create an ecologically balanced habitat of flora and fauna. To start, each player has 6 cards in hand, with cards depicting either a particular type of tree or forest dweller, animals, plants, mushrooms, and so on. And over the course of the game, they'll create a tableau of trees and the species they've attracted, tallying their points based on the combinations they've created. Whoever scores the most points wins.
Paula picked this particular publication after playing it with Matthew. And after playing it, she was hooked on the game's art, its approach to hand management, how the card abilities are activated, and how the scores are tallied at the end of the game.
As she departed for parts unknown, I heard her quip that it's a bit like if the game's Earth and Meadow had a baby, and the baby was super cute and never spit up on you, but had also been raised by feral wolves.
Well, we could use some feral wolves around here for our own protection.
How bad is it?
Seriously, Rodney, before I tell you, you may want to have a stiff drink.
Well, the closest thing I've got to a stiff drink around here is Matthew's first game pick of the month, Tequila. A roll and write game for 1 to 4 players who compete to become the top producer of this coveted drink by managing their very own tequila farm, its fields, and resources.
Over the course of 8 rounds, players earn prestige points by skillfully managing their tequila farms and agave fields. The actions and resources that are available each round are determined by dice that are rolled by the round's starting player. Then, simultaneously, each player uses the dice, along with a third die of their choosing, to place fences in their fields to gather resources or construct new buildings to expand their farms and earn points towards victory.
And the last thing I heard Matthew say as the Interpol submarine he was loaded onto submerged into the Atlantic was that he was really taken by the artwork. He finds it beautiful, which further entices him to try this roll and write farming game where everyone starts with the same options but scrambles them up in different ways to come up with vastly different board configurations.
Just like the letters in the Party Lemming sign, which scrambled as they sailed through the air and then landed in a vastly different configuration. And then, there on the ground, revealed the identity of our tormentor. A tormentor whose name I shall reveal right after a word from the other sponsor that helped make this episode possible.
It's nice that you've kept room in your big reveal to prioritize an advertisement.
Of course.
It was inevitable.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened already.
Well, there's no better game to make a priority than the game Priorities from Clarendon Games. Priorities is a party game of extreme truths and absurd choices, and it's simple. How would you rank 5 random items from love to loathe?
Example?
Well, how would you rank maple syrup, Huey Lewis, unconditional love, the the Great Barrier Reef, and chamomile tea.
What era of Huey Lewis are we talking about here? Like the sports album or like Hard at Play?
Well, there you go. As I said, the game's simple, but that doesn't mean it's not challenging. And that's what makes Priorities an easy-to-learn party game that's perfect for families or adults, or Chaz. Players will work together to try and predict the order the active player will rank the items. It's everyone versus the game. So follow the link in this video's description to find Priorities, which is available now at your nearest Target. Pick it up and make playing Priorities a priority at your next game night.
Is it sports? Because seriously, Sports is one of the best albums of the 80s. If it's not at the top of the list, you are a fool.
So you're saying you'd rank an album higher than someone giving you unconditional love?
It's a really good album.
Okay, Chaz. Listen, just tell me, what did you discover when those letters hit the floor? Because my curiosity has gotten the better of me, and I've become obsessed, like a raccoon that's found something shiny and can't let it go.
Perhaps something as shiny as the Something Shiny in the other game that was on Monique and Naveen's radar this month? Isla and Something Shiny?
Do you remember in our friendship when we used to have conversations that weren't just segues to get us from one board game to the next?
Deep in the forest, an innocent rabbit, Isla, leaves their home to embark on a life-changing adventure. A story-rich board game for one or more players set in a mystical world. Solve puzzles, manage resources, and overcome challenges through underground perilous mazes over the course of an emotional story that's told across 5 chapters of gameplay and illustrated comics. With branching story paths, your choices matter, affecting each chapter and deciding how the game ends.
Monique has been looking for a single-player narrative board game to work through, and this one caught her eye not only because its storyline seems like it can be quite sophisticated at times, but also because its artwork is absolutely adorable.
Yeah, but Isla and Something Shiny isn't the only instance in which something that first appears absolutely adorable could be harboring something deeper and sinister beneath its surface.
Are you referring to the identity of the saboteur?
Exactly, because when the letters for the Party Lemmings sign settled on the floor, they revealed the secret that Party Lemmings had been hiding right in front of us this entire time.
Timmy Spangler, our former head writer who turned out to be a baby-faced con man, thief, and felon, is the man behind Party Lemmings?
Indeed, which means that Party Lemmings bought Watch It Played with the sole intention of destroying it in an act of revenge upon all of us.
Well, to be fair, against you specifically. I mean, sure, I suppose we're all in danger, but boy howdy, if Timmy Spangler has an axe to grind with anyone, it's you. I mean, he really has it up for you after you foiled so many of his nefarious schemes in past episodes that I'm sure everyone watching here has seen and remembers clearly. Yeah, we've got some experience in this matter. Not like the total novices in the game Noobs in Space, Matthew's other pick of the month, in which a team of newbie astronauts embark on a series of daring space missions, and the only thing they're missing is just any clue as to what they're actually doing.
Teams of 3 to 5 players must complete a series of challenges together using what little knowledge each of them have. Each player has a small part of the solution. Now, everyone just needs to figure out how to put it all together, which will require clear communication and interaction with one another as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Matthew's excited about this one because it's coming from Cosmos, whose cooperative mission-based card games with limited information have worked amazingly in the past. He's a big fan of the trick-taking games The Crew and Inside Job, which are also by Cosmos. Even though Noobs in Space isn't a trick-taking game, Matthew still has high hopes for its new direction.
And that's not the only thing going in new directions. Timmy Spangler, being the threat to Watch It Played, is the reason why I sent the rest of the team into hiding in different destinations.
Just like one of the Viking leaders in Paula's other pick of the month, Nar, who sent their units out to new destinations. But in Nar, crews are deployed in order to explore and claim the best territories.
Some locations will be beneficial for trading. Others will provide you with influence, increasing your reputation as you accumulate wealth. Placing new crew members activates the effects of those that share their icon, plus benefits from matching colors of those on a central board. And over the course of the game, it all builds to unlock more destinations, trading opportunities, reputation, and eventually, a winning score.
There were several reasons why Paula picked Nar, including its art style, which she found to be really interesting and beautiful. It took her a bit to get the hang of, but when she did, it really scratched a particular combo engine pretty card itch. Plus, she enjoyed the way the game builds. When you've gathered enough resources, you can start trading for more resources, reputation, or making points.
And the last point that I have to make is that now that Monique, Naveen, Paula, and Matthew are all safe, the only thing left to do is for you and I to find a way to stop the lead lemming and save Watch It Played.
We must take flight towards a solution.
You mean we need to come up with a plan? Because, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yes, but first we must take flight towards a solution.
Sure, I guess we could take a flight, or we could just stay here and, work on it too, right?
First, flight.
What are you telling me? Should I book a plane ticket?
Look, shouldn't we cover First in Flight before this episode ends?
Oh, yes, of course. Your last game pick of the month, First in Flight. A game all about the era of early aviation among an array of adversaries, absolutely up in arms about each other's astounding achievements in aeronautics.
Players take on the roles of the Wright brothers, Samuel Langley, and other flight pioneers racing to build and pilot the flyers that preceded modern airplanes.
Flying is portrayed by a blackjack-style challenge to test a design, break new records, and gain experience, hopefully without crashing. Then players head back to the workshop to refine their flyers and improve their chances on future flights.
This game is on my radar because it hooked me with its theme and presentation. Sure, the board, the art, and the colors caught my eye, but trying to successfully get a plane into flight seemed like an excellent marriage of the theme and mechanisms. You're building a deck, assembling what you need for that successful flight, but also any endeavor like this is going to require courage and pushing your luck.
And that is a great mindset to be in, my friend, because I think I have an idea, but it's going to take its own amount of luck in order to take flight.
Oh? What's your plan?
Here's exactly what we're going to do.